What's up, traders? In this video, I'm going to share my favorite anchored VWAP strategy. We're going to talk about what VWAP is, how to anchor it, and how it's making me money. All right, traders, listen up. Before we continue with today's podcast, I have to share with you some important information because a lot of you come to me asking, how can you help me make more money, Austin? What does that process look like? The simple answer is you join the Black Shirt Club, which is our all-inclusive 12-week trading mentorship program, and you work with me every single day. In the Black Shirt Club, we don't just trade together. You get weekly private coaching sessions. You also get a year for free. That's $550 worth of value to TradeZella, to track your trades, to journal properly. So we actually have some data to make the adjustments from. But really, I think the bigger overarching thing you get in the Black Shirt Club is accountability and feedback from traders with more experience than you. Those two things alone are worth thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, because think about it. You're learning how to make unlimited income and you're saving yourself tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in potential losses. Remember, when I started trading, I had no mentorship. I lost almost $50,000 in the first 2 years. If I can save you from losing 50 G's, how much would you pay me? I want you guys to book a call with me. It's probably flying in up here. The link is in the description. Book a call. It's 10 minutes. It's free. If the Black Shirt Club is something that you're interested in, it is a little bit of a time commitment. It's for serious traders, not brand new people, but you get everything included. Like I said, TradeZella, my course is included. I'll even give you a month free of ASFX TV. So book a call if this interests you. Let's hop on and see if you're a good fit. It's not for everybody. I am definitely selective in who I allow into the club, but if I think I can make an impact on you after that welcome call, we'll get rolling, we'll get the 12 weeks popping, and we'll get you making more money. Link is down below. Like I said, maybe it flew in above my head. Tap it, book the call, and I'll speak with you guys soon. Again, thank you for being a listener of the podcast. Let's get back to the video. All right, traders, if you're new, my name is Austin Silver. I appreciate you being here. Today, like I said, we're talking about anchored VWAP. In the next couple of videos, I'm going to share with you as much as I can about anchored VWAP. But before I talk about it, I have to promote Brian Shannon's book. This book and his first book, this is the new one, is what has really catapulted me down a rabbit hole using anchored VWAP with the strategies that we teach in our course in the starter pack. We have 4 strategies, the A1, the A2, the D1, and the D2, but most people are trading the A1 and the A2. So now what I'm going to do today is show you how to use the A2 with the anchored VWAP so you're never trading against trend. First thing we're going to do is take a look at this screenshot, which shows the 2 main types of anchor points. There's a third type I'm going to show you in the next slide. But here what you're going to see is a 15-minute chart of SPX. Here's the period separator, so it shows you the entire day yesterday. The black dotted line with the black bands around it, that is the start of day anchored VWAP. You can see it starts right here at the period separator. Those bands are standard deviation bands that help me understand how far away from anchored VWAP we are. That anchor, because it's done at the start of the day, is what Brian refers to in the book as a time-based anchor. It doesn't matter what price it's at, it always happens at the changeover of day, which is 6 p.m. Eastern time. We then have this blue line anchored at 9:30, which is also a time-based anchor. That is from the New York Open. Doesn't matter what price that is at, you're putting that anchor on the New York Open. So again, a time-based anchor. The purple line is a price-based anchor from high of day before the breakout at 9:30. So if we were looking at this in here, pre-market, 6, 7, 8, 9 in the morning, the high of day set here is marked with the purple anchored VWAP to show us who's had control since the current high of day. That is a price-based anchor. It doesn't have to happen at a specific time. You put that anchor at the current high of day, and then you would move that anchor as price changes. That's the 2 main types of anchors that I use. The third type that some stock traders use, some more fundamental traders use, would be a fundamental-based anchor, like this one from CPI last week. You would put the anchor on the news candle. Here it came out at 8:30 Eastern time, and as you can see, that actually acts as really strong support into the next week. So that's the 3 main types of anchors: price-based anchors, time-based anchors, and fundamental-based anchors. So now that we understand the 3 different types of anchors, I'm going to show you how I'm using them with the A2 strategy. The A2 is a break of the 21 EMA. Now you're going to say, Austin, on this Google chart, I don't see a 21 EMA. I see your daily anchored VWAP. I see it starts here at the open. I can see pre-market down here, but I don't see a 21 EMA. Well, the reason for that is because once I have the A2 flags, which are shown here in green, once those are set to present using this A2 indicator, that tells me everything I need to know about what's happening with the 21 EMA. So I can strip off the EMAs and really focus on just my average volume weighted price from different points, mainly the high of day, which is marked with the purple line, and the start of day, which is the black dotted line. Now I have the standard deviation bands on here because I like to make sure my best entries, what I would call higher probability trades, are closest to anchored VWAP. So today, this is Monday of this past week, we saw buyers break at the open. We saw them give up a little bit of pressure to the sellers, but the sellers could not take out the daily anchored VWAP. We then make a higher low and a new high of day. So we'll anchor a VWAP to that high of day. Now as it pulls back, we see the buyers hold control here at the daily anchored VWAP. So that's a great spot to start thinking, hey, if this holds, I'm going to look for A2 entries long. Now what Brian says is you don't buy the breakout, you don't buy the dip, you buy the strength after the breakout and the dip. So how do you determine that strength? Anchoring a VWAP to the current high of day or low of day if you're selling. When that is broken to the upside, as this is here and again here a couple of times with these A2s, that tells us with 100% certainty, according to Brian, that buyers are now back in control because the average price that people have paid, those people are now in profit for the longs, which will now cause the shorts to close and cover. So the A2 presenting near the daily anchored VWAP, after we saw a break as we're holding that high of day anchored VWAP and we're inside the band, so we're not too far from the daily anchored VWAP, this is a beautiful trade. You can see this is a Google chart on the 1 minute, 60-cent stop. That entry comes at 10:41 Eastern time. By 11:40, you're up almost 1.5, call it 1.6 R. That's a great trade. For these A2 trades, I'm looking to take profit always at 1 R and bring my stop, so I don't take any losses after a trade goes 1 R. So this is the Google trade. Really, really easy to understand why we're looking for the break of the anchor VWAP. We're not buying the breakout. We're not buying the dip. We're not just putting in buys. We're getting the strength after the dip confirmed with the A2. Let me show you another example. This is yesterday on Microsoft. Again, buyers at the open, they give it up a little bit to some sellers. So we don't do anything here. We would not look for longs here as we're not really holding above that high of day anchored VWAP. Remember, purple line is high of day anchored VWAP. We give it up to the sellers here. Now, I'm not interested in selling it because the indices yesterday were moving higher. It was ripping higher. So I'm not looking for sells. I'm just waiting when it's underneath anchored VWAP here, the daily. But then at 11 o'clock, we break the daily anchored VWAP, we break the high of day anchored VWAP, and we see a shove higher. That high push here, that higher high, starts to create a strong uptrend. We get a B signal, which is an A2 signal, a variation of the A2, at 11:46 with a really tight stop. You're in this trade at 375.65. It's at like $1.40 to 374.26 for the stop, just to give it a little more space. You could have even went tighter at 374.66, according to the fib. That holds beautifully. We make higher highs and higher lows over 2R on this trade. Now again here, anchored VWAPs are in play. We're using the high of day anchored VWAP to say when have buyers taken control. Here's when those buyers have taken the control. They're now shoving us higher, and we're waiting for the A2 entry for confirmation. So that's the breakdown here. That's the way you would play Microsoft yesterday. I want to show you today on NASDAQ. So NASDAQ today breaks below previous low of day zone. If I zoom out a little bit, you'll see that zone was created here at about 650 this morning. So we're trending lower. The daily anchored VWAP is way up here. You can see even overnight, 1 a.m., we really started to break away from it with lower lows and lower highs. So then when I wake up for the New York session this morning, we see it moving lower. We're not going to be able to get an entry near the daily anchored VWAP way up here. It's just too far. So we anchor a VWAP to low of day. And when that VWAP is broken, when that anchored VWAP is broken, that's telling us sellers have taken control. So the B signal here could be what you play as the A2 entry, right on this red flag short. That stop would be 15,986. But I'm marking it up as we get in short here after the push through the strong break away for a new low of day, because now we're breaking this previous structure, but we're more importantly pushing off of that previous low of day anchor point. So then what I like to do with this idea is use the A2 stop loss drawn with this fib from the low of day. So that gives me about a 14-point stop here on NASDAQ. Now, as you can see, if we move this thing forward, NASDAQ likes to rip. So we see a strong push over 1R here within the first few minutes. As it slows down, I put on another anchor point because that's now my new low of day. You could even consider erasing this one, I think. As we watch, we'll see. The buyers tried to take control. They failed. We set a new low. Buyers try to take control here. What happens? They fail. We set another new low. So you can see if you're very reactionary, this indicator of anchored VWAP will tell you what the market is doing. You don't have to forecast anything. Now, as this continues to develop, it never comes back up to tap the stop loss that would be locked at entry up here. And if we hit play and watch, you'll see it just shoves. Even at the open, we're getting A2 signals here at the open telling us to be short at about 15,951. It's a little choppy at the open, but as you can see by 9:50, so we're like 20 minutes into the open. Now here by 10 o'clock, 30 minutes into the open. Now we're really starting to move away. So really the A2 off of this new low of day anchored VWAP is telling you the best price to be short as we continue to move lower. And again, a very clear structural move because it's just making lower lows and lower highs. Here's the lower high. You see it's pinned here, moves lower. Now we set a new low, new lower high, lower low, and that trend just continues here. If you just fast forward to the end of the day, we're starting to rise a little bit here, but this was the move we saw this morning. So we're using that daily anchor, which is the time-based anchor from the start of day, plus the low of day anchors as we're moving away from it, or high of day anchors as we're buying. But that's going to allow us to use the A2 for confirmation, but make sure we're getting in once buyers or sellers have completely taken control. So if you want to learn more about this, make sure you subscribe. I've got more videos. If you want to trade live with me, come join us on ASFX TV. I stream 3 times a week. We have live streaming sessions in the London session and New York session. All of us talk about anchored VWAP. All the streamers on ASFX TV have a slightly different take on it, but you'll get a lot of insight as to how we're actually taking these trades live if you come join us there. So there's links in the description for that. I appreciate you guys staying all the way through. And again, thank you to Brian for all his work over the decades. Please make sure you guys pick up his book and read it. Highly, highly recommend. So stay subscribed. I'll see you in the next one.